Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another thrilling adventure of Kingdom Death Simulator. I am your host and perpetrator of all things terrible to our poor survivors, Simodian. So, hello, everybody, welcome. As always, we will start with our usual content warning. Kingdom Death is a very mature game. Artwork is depictive of a lot of mature themes. There are also descriptions and depictions of violence, gore, body injury, as well as descriptions of mental trauma. So, first and foremost, as always, please look after yourselves, and we totally understand. Beyond that, hello, folks. If this is your first time here for the live stream, you can check out our VODs over on YouTube. And for those of you on YouTube, if you check out the description, you will get a link to the Twitch stream where we are live just about every Friday evening. As for other housekeeping this week, first of all, did I made the extreme mistake a couple weeks ago of updating OBS right before I went live. I decided that wasn't enough chaos, so I plugged in a new microphone 10 minutes ago. Messed around with a little bit of the settings. Hopefully we're coming through nice and loud and clear. But please, if you notice any issues, by all means, call it out and we will adjust as best we can. Otherwise, if you recall from last stream, so excited to get the new overlays up. And then 5 minutes later, that fell apart. I did that little bit of troubleshooting that I knew I needed. I didn't think it was going to completely crash the app, but it did last time around. But I'm pretty sure we're good to go. I did plenty of testing last weekend. I think we're okay. It's a little frustrating because it was literally a 5-minute fix. It was like literally one if statement that I needed to add into the program. But that was a 5-minute fix after 2 days of thinking about it. So going forward, we're probably good to go, and I'm going to operate under that assumption. As for this week, let's talk about what we got going on. So, of course, as you can see, we have another Gorm hunt ahead of us. Finally, this will be our last our last Gorm hunt for a little bit, hopefully. Oh, the spaghetti. The spaghetti is a real wet, Lantis. Hello, friend. Because after this lantern year, it's going to be crazy. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 locked in story events, as well as the one settlement event that's happening. So it's going to be a wild year, especially because murder is on the list. So, because murder is on the list, we're being a little careful with who we're bringing with us. On our hunt tonight, we are bringing Asteria. Asteria is our grand weapon user, largely because she has this disorder, which means she pretty much can't use any other weapons. So she's rocking our rib blade, also has Rhythm Chaser, which I have to remember about, +1 evasion. Not any heavy gear, I think we're good there. Oh goodness, buttons. Gotta remember how to play the game. So that's what we got here. Next up, we have the sacrifice. I mean Larry. Larry is going to be our primary tank. I did make a small mistake last week, but nobody reminded me. So it's not entirely my fault. I forgot during the hunt phase, Larry got -1 speed. So he was attacking a little more often than he should have been, but I think that fight was pretty well in hand either way. So hopefully that'll be fine. Actually, I don't want to bring the Drydecanthus. Do we put that on somebody more important? Give it to Rhonda? That's Kumar. Whatever. Because if Larry gets injured, I really don't care. Larry just has to survive because reasons. Beyond that, we are also bringing Rhonda. Rhonda is our fist and tooth user. Rhonda's not great. She's fine, but this ghostly beauty disorder is a problem. Means I'm not going to want to use her too much because doubling all survival she spends is problematic. That said, she doesn't have much survival anyway. And finally, we have Kumar with us. Kumar is our Great Axe user. Finally got the Greater Gax from the Gorm last week. So really excited to start wrecking with that. Beyond that, one last reminder for folks. Kingdom Death Simulator is essentially cognitive overload the game. This is a very complex game. It's a lot if you're playing with 4 people, so it's 4 times as much when you're playing alone, especially on a Friday evening after a long week of thinking. So, I'm going to do my best to make sure I get all the rules correct. If I get something wrong, I apologize ahead of time. I endeavor to make the best decision in the moment, and then off stream, maybe look up if I had any questions. For those of you who are here live, you are more than welcome to try to remind me if you notice something I forgot. I greatly appreciate any assistance in that regard. So, KILLFEST. I didn't realize we had a name for this stream. That's going to have to be the episode title on YouTube, so thanks for that one. All right. Beyond that, I think we're ready to kick off our hunt. So let's start off with seeing who gets to go first. And with a 4, it is Kumar. So Kumar gets to reveal our first event here. With head-splitting pain, an approaching flash of light causes terrible convulsions. Move the Gorm 1 space closer to the survivors. Okay. If it moves onto the survivor space, they're ambushed. That's no problem. Otherwise, each survivor rolls on the table. Okay, so Gorm is going to come 1 step closer. Got to make sure I get my controls up here. There we go. So we will start with Kumar himself. Kumar gets a big ol' 7. The light's strange influence sickens your mind. Gain a random disorder. Oof. Also add number of disorders to the result. So it's going to be a +1 for Ron, +1 for Asteria, and a big +3 for Larry. So Kumar gets a random disorder. We get codependent. You cannot gain understanding except from the pariah. Oh, we should not have this card in the deck. So we don't... I thought I extracted all the pariah stuff. Did I? I did not. Whoopsie. Pariah, you need to go to the cabinet, friend. Okay. I caught myself on that one, Lantis. You see the difference between myself and June? June is trying really hard not to die. I've accepted that as a fact of life. All right, so we're going to shuffle this one up again. This time we've got absent seizures. That's actually fine. That's okay. We can deal with that. Dog is going nuts out there tonight. Apologies for any background noise. Next up, we've got Asteria rolling. Also with that 7, +1 brings her to 8. Shielding your eyes, you struggle to regain control. Reduce your insanity to 0. Ruh-roh. How much insanity did she have? I've lost the insanity. There it is. Oh, she lost 3. That's rough. All right, next up we've got Larry with an 8. That actually brings him to 11, which we had to look this up last time. This middle one should say 8 to 12, not 8 to 10. So Larry will also lose all of his insanity. Not much to speak of there. And then finally, Rhonda. She gets a 9, also loses all of her insanity. She didn't have any. Cool. All right, not the worst outcome. And then with hopefully our last hunt event, we've got Asteria stepping up. Wrong button. Itchy Palms. The survivors come across a field of huge boulders worn on all sides with deep, smooth grooves. If any survivor has 3+ understanding, do we have anybody? I don't think we have anybody with 3+ understanding. Asteria, Larry, Rhonda, Kumar. No, we don't understand shit. Otherwise, roll a random hunt event. With a 4. We've got Famine. That doesn't sound great. The path ahead is arid and dead. You may have survivors gain +1 courage and press on, otherwise roll again. If you press on, your stomachs grumble. The survivors pool their supplies. The event revealer rolls a d10 and adds +2 for each consumable gear. How much consumable gear do we have? I think it's just 1. None of this is consumable. Monster grease. So monster grease is 1. Dried acanthus is 2. And that's all we got. So we would be adding 2 to the roll. That's rough. No, we are not going to do that because that's way too likely. So we're just going to roll a new hunt event. With a 63. We've got feet. Oh, God, the internet. The stone faces ahead are replaced by an expanse of stone feet sprouting from the ground. The survivors walk soul to soul with the feet. If any survivor is insane, which should be nobody because everybody lost all of their insanity. Yeah, I think Kumar was the only one that didn't, and he doesn't have any to speak of anyway. They're convinced, blah, blah, blah. If all survivors are insane, they fall off the underside of the world. So if nobody's insane, nothing happens? Let me double check. Survivors are saying they are convinced they have reached the underside of the world. They clutch the ground for dear life, terrified of falling off. The raucous terror slows the survivors and attracts unwanted attention. Roll once on the hunt table for each insane survivor. Okay, so that's 0. If all survivors are insane, that doesn't happen. Okay, so we got off scot-free on that one. I'll take it. And that's it. We start the hunt, or start the showdown. God, it's kind of an unfortunate thing about the way the Gorm is, because we have such little opportunity to gain stats. None of our people are brave or smart, unfortunately. They are dumb and scared, which, to be honest, same. All right. Gonna chuck a lot of this stuff out of the way in a second. As for arrival benefits, we get what is this? A +1 evasion? Yes. Okay, we'll take that. Don't think I have any evasion tokens out. And then she will lose that when she is knocked down, which the Gorm loves to knock folks down. So we will give her +1 evasion. Nice. Because that's what it is. When you're knocked down, you lose them all, right? When you're knocked down, if you don't have an instrument, remove all of them. Okay, that's fine. So she'll have 1 evasion for a little bit, but the Gorm likes to flash people and knock them down. Beyond that, I know we've got some stone noses out here, so that is a survival and an insanity for Rhonda and Kumar. I keep forgetting where insanity is on my tool here. Okay. Oh, that was the wrong person. Good to go. Cool. I just have to keep reminding myself hitting the hotkey to change the tab in the overlay does not change the tab in my program. Aside from that, we are good to go. Let me just remind myself of all of Larry's problems. Brain trauma, he gets knocked down. Severe injury, suffer brain trauma. And no stinkies. Cool. Extra sense isn't going to be a factor. Do have mammoth hunting. Don't know if we're going to utilize that because the Gax has a reach. But we'll see how things go. Kind of just had to throw together a team. Don't have like super great loadouts just yet. Still kind of figuring out where we are. As for all this stuff, I hate these pillars. Because the Gorm also likes to knock people around. So we're just going to like huck all these off into a corner. 1, 2, 4, 4. Whoops. Oh, come on. And you can go back there. That's fine. Spread it out a little just for aesthetic purposes. As for where we're starting, where's our boy Larry front and center? And then we'll just kind of get everybody else spread out. All right, I think we're good to go. Because I gave everybody their departing bonuses before stream, handled all of our arrival bonuses, so I think we're ready to kick this off. So we start, oh right, start off with the mood, cool. That's fun. Aggravated bite. Closest threat facing in range, of course, is going to be our buddy Larry. So speed 2, accuracy 2. That's not Larry. That's Larry. He only has +1 evasion? No, he should have +2. Because he has his natural +1. Ruh-roh. Something go wrong here? Oh, that's Rhonda. That's why. Goodness. Sam, get it together. There we go. Yeah. That's correct. Now, what was Rhonda's stats? Because I think I messed that up now. Yeah, she should be at 1 evasion. That's correct. All right, gotta get used to things here. We got new stuff going on. So 2 speed. This will hit on 4s. That is unfortunately 2 hits, so not much we can do about that. So 1 damage each, both to the hands. We're just going to take both of those and take our bleed token. All right, so everybody's in the stomping zone. So who is most likely to wound this guy? What did I do? Or are you talking to Pizza Atlantis, June? I had nothing to do with this. Okay, then I probably agree. So most likely to wound is probably going to be Kumar. I promise you, I can do wrong. It's just not common. So Kumar will be hitting, swinging at 2 speed, hitting on 6s with wounding on 3s. So I think Kumar is our best bet here. Or we can back Rhonda off and try throwing our bone darts. That's probably the smarter thing to do first. That's probably the smart thing to do first. So we got to get at least 4 spaces away. That's Shirley. We didn't bring Shirley. I think I switched that up off stream and forgot. So unassigned survivor. No, she still says Shirley. Did I bring Shirley instead of Rhonda? No. Oh, I got an unassigned sheet. That's why. There we go. I'm not getting in the middle of that, Peaches. Whatever's going on. Also, welcome here, Peaches. Appreciate you. Okay. That's okay. There's going to be a lot of crimes happening here tonight. So let's settle in. I accept the outcomes of anything that happens. So yeah, we're going to take Rhonda. We're going to scoot back a bit and throw the dart. That's the smartest thing to do. Unfortunately, only hitting on a 7. Oh, we got a perfect hit. Doesn't matter. Let's get our hit location. That would be bad, but we want to do it anyway. So 3 plus 1 is 4, so we are wounding on a 4, and Rhonda crits on a 9. Okay. Well, at least we don't have to worry about the wretch. So I think the next smartest play is going to be bringing in Kumar. He doesn't need to be the extra +2. He's already strong enough. All right. So we are hitting on 6s. That is 2 hits. Nothing bad here. Again, we're not adjacent, so we don't get the flank bonus. But he is wounding on a 3. Oh my goodness. All right. Gonna do the same thing here. All right, at least we got the wound. I'll take that. Which brings Thunderfoot off. That does not trigger because Kumar did not end his act yet. So we wounded off before this triggers. Got to get to my overlay, take off a wound. Yay. All right, so he is going to retch, unfortunately. So that's going to be 1 damage to Larry and Asteria. Larry takes it to his waist. This is something I do have to worry about on my overlays. Ignore the numbers, but I will be tracking because Wretch ignores armor. And I don't currently have a way of tracking that. So I'm going to track that on the sheet for now. And Asteria also to the waist. So yeah, anything temporary on the character sheets is only going to be updated periodically. But anything that is somewhat permanent, which is fighting arts, stats, those sort of things, that will be tracked in real time. Also got to remember Kumar got an axe wound. So that is good to go. All right, next up, Asteria is going to step up. 1, 2, 3, 4, just to get over here to be out of Wretch Zone. So she is hitting on a 6. Cool. And Larry's not going to do anything. Larry's going to spend his time blocking. Because Larry is unlikely to be dealing much damage now that I'm remembering he's -1 speed. Larry's job is to live through this fight. Take as much damage as he can, but live through this fight. And that ends our turn. So we are going to come up to a body check, random survivor in range. All right, great plan, Larry. This is going to be Asteria, which that's probably a good one. Because if it was Kumar, we would have some trouble. All right, Asteria is in the grass, which is a +2, right? Yes, so Asteria is almost untouchable. She is currently sitting at 6 evasion. So hitting on 8s. Of course one would hit. 1 damage to her hands. That should be fine. That's okay. Oh, that was the wrong card. Oh, so that's 1 speed. All right, so I'm actually going to re-roll that because I'm not sure which die it would have been. Okay, so that actually was a no-hit. All right. Back to our turn. What are we going to do here? Probably going to start with Asteria. Yeah. Let's get Asteria. Or no. Asteria can take a hit. Kumar's a little more in danger. So we're going to bring Kumar around this way. Wait. Can we do this smarter? All right, Kumar's still going to be in the wretch zone, but I think we're going to go with this. So again, hitting on 6s. Kumar, buddy. Not great. Asteria is going to swing around over to here. Also hitting on a 6. Wow, guys. And Rhonda is... Can she get it? Yes. So she's going to start fisting and toothening. She only hits on 8s. Cool. And Larry... Block. Hiccup! Oh, gosh. Okay, so that sucks. Start off with Asteria. She is knocked down, which means she loses her +1 evasion. Oh, well. Larry, also knocked down. Rhonda, also knocked down. Oh, boy. And then we retch. So that is only Larry. Okay, for some reason I thought Kumar would have been in the splash zone. So Larry will take, once again, 1 damage straight to his head. Cool. And this card goes back on top. So I'm not spending all that survival to stand everybody up. I think we're just going to tank our way through a turn. Well, we'll see what happens. If Kumar doesn't wound, we might do things. Kumar might as well come up to here. That is 1 hit. So we said Kumar is wounding on 3s. Oh, God, more red. This stupid baby. All right, so that is a wound. So this gets to go away. And then we wrench again. So now people are going to get gross. So this is going to be Asteria and Rhonda this time. So Asteria taking 1 to her hands directly. That's fine. Well, not fine, but it's acceptable. And Rhonda also to the hands. All right, that ends our turn. I think we're just going to see what happens. With a strobe, turn to face the most survivors. That is there. Roll a d10 for each. On a result of 3+, they suffer a brain damage and are knocked down. Well, good news. They're already all knocked down. So we'll start again with Asteria. That is a brain damage. Nobody has any insanity. Larry. Yep. That's not great. Why does Larry have one there? That doesn't make sense. All right, so that is the light wound to Larry's brain. Did that work? Why did that not work? That's the wrong person. Uh-oh. I did a bad thing. I think I might have broke something. Are we good? I think we're good. All right. I think we're back operational. Sorry, guys. All right. So that's Larry. Gets his light. Nope. Wrong button. There we go. Are we good? We did it. We did it, team. And then finally, Rhonda. Rhonda will also take a brain damage. She does have insanity, though, so that's fine. And then turn the Gorm to face the opposite board edge. Gorm is not cooperating, but we're doing okay. Everybody does get to stand up now, thankfully. So... all right. I think we're just going to have everybody start stepping up with Rhonda. No hits. We'll let Kumar go next with one hit. Nothing special here. That is a wound. Yay. Asteria. How do I want to play this? I think Asteria is just going to step up here. That is a hit for Asteria. So Asteria is a big, strong girl, so she is wounding on a 2. And with her extra luck, she is now critting on an 8. Because normally it would be a 10, plus 1 for deadly, or sorry, minus 1, whatever. Count plus 1 luck for deadly brings it to a 9, and then another luck for the lucky charm brings it to 8. It's enough to wound. We'll take that. And I don't think Larry's going to need to block. So we're going to have him Rawhide Headband this turn. So this is actually fine. Just means don't end in the blind spot, which we don't do anyway. And technically this will count as an extra wound. And then Scratch. Could be anybody. We'll probably choose Asteria. Okay. Yeah, so we will leave it in that order so that we can get it essentially a free wound. And we're just going to have Larry move a little closer, but not be in the blind spot. Or actually, let's also get out of the Wretch Zone. That's fine. So we will draw Posturing Piss. So we draw another AI card. The Gorm asserts its dominance over the challenging survivor. When a survivor ends their act in the Gorm's blind spot, they lose all their armor to the leg. So we just don't end in the blind spot. Pretty simple. If the Gorm is defeated when this card is in play, if they have not innovated it yet, the settlement gains the ammonia innovation. We got that last year, so we're good there. So the way this works, since this never goes out of play, it's one less card in the AI deck, which technically counts as a wound. And then we will get Scratch, which, as we said, closest threat in field of view. Asteria is our secondary tank, so it will be her. 1 speed, and this will hit on a 3. Or I'm sorry, on a 5. That will hit, and honestly, we're just going to dodge that because that is bad news. Asteria has Rawhide, so let's see if she gets that survival back. She does not. That's fine. She has plenty of survival. She should have had more, I thought. That was Rhonda, that's why. There we go. Yeah, she should be at 5. Bring her down to 4. Sorry, kind of might have goofed up a little bit copying some stats over, but I think we're okay. Let me just double check everybody else. Larry's also at 0 survival. That is also wrong. That looks correct. Okay. Because Asteria and Larry both get +2 when they depart, as well as +2 from our other innovations, so they should have plenty of survival. That's that. Cool. Back around to our turn. First move, getting Rhonda out of the butt zone, I think, is a good play. No hits, unfortunately. Also have to remember Asteria got a wound there. And then Kumar is going to scoot around this way with 2 big hits. So nothing happening here, so we're going to start with this one. That is unfortunately not a wound. And then this one, that one's at least a wound. Oh, that's rough, but okay. So we got a flip, shuffle, and then drop one. So turn the Gorm to face the opposite board edge and full move forward in a straight line. So he's going to scoot around, turn this way, run over Rhonda, and end there. So let's plan this out. We'll have Asteria Rawhide Headband this time. Well, these both kind of suck, but it doesn't matter. So how can we best spread this out? I think Kumar is the only one left with Insanity. I don't think there's anything we can do to not end up targeting everybody, unfortunately. Let's think. So, if Asteria full move, we could dash. That might be worth. What's their flow step here? No, there's no flow step before the Intimidate, so we have to dash on our turn. We might as well do it this way. So Asteria, how do we want to do this? How are we on brain damage? All right, so we just want to make sure Asteria is out of the strobe. So Asteria will move her 5. And then she will spend a survival to dash. She'll get that survival back. Just to move, honestly, 1 more is fine. So that way, when the Gorm turns this way, Larry has some protection from brain trauma. Kumar has an insanity, and Rhonda hasn't taken her brain wound yet, so that's probably for the best. And then Larry will just make a move up. Yeah, we did that. Okay. So that's how it's going to play out. So we will draw that strobe. Turn to face the most survivors is going to be this way, and then roll a d10 for each. So we'll start with Larry. Yep, Larry does, or would take a brain trauma. Instead, he has absent seizures. So he's knocked down and forgets a fighting art, which is fine because he wasn't really using mammoth hunting for anything anyway. Goodbye. Next up, Rhonda. With a 7 means Rhonda will take her brain wound. And then finally, Kumar. Kumar will lose his insanity. So we're good to go there. Oh, they're also knocked down, which is unfortunate. So we might start standing people up. I think it's pretty worth this time around. Yeah, so we will have Asteria encourage Larry. Does not get the survival back. So Larry will stand up, which means Larry can encourage Kumar. Larry does not get his survival back. And then Kumar can encourage Rhonda. Kumar doesn't have Rawhide, so he'll lose an insanity. Or not insanity, survival, but he's got plenty to spare. So everybody is back up and in fighting condition. First thing we'll do is get Rhonda as safe as we can get her. Come on, Rhonda. You can do it. Get a hit. Nice. All right. We are in the flank, so we get +2 strength. Nice. So Rhonda has naturally 1 strength. So she would be wounding on a 7, but since Rhonda is Rhonda... All right, so she'll now be wounding on a 5, critting on an 8. Tried our best. Oh, Rhonda. Rhonda, you keep this up, and Larry's going to live. Let's get Asteria. Oh, wait, that's going to be weird. All right, so if the Gorm retches, all kinds of weird shit's going to happen. 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't get us anywhere. All right, well, I don't think there's really much we could do to protect ourselves, so fine. Perfect hit. Don't think that does anything for Asteria, unfortunately. So again, wounding on a 2, critting on an 8 for her. Nice. So now this one goes away. Very glad to not have to deal with that anymore. And nothing else on that card. So, Larry Headband is probably the play again. Yeah, it's going to be Scratch. Yeah, because Kumar can't do anything this turn. Yeah, so definitely Scratch. And Larry's just going to make sure he is the target. Kumar is just going to get in as best he can. Nothing else he can really do. Cool. So we will draw that Scratch. So, strobe, what? There we go. I've heard that the simulator is running a little weird right now after the latest patch. Hopefully it won't affect us too much. But as you just saw, still a little weirdness here and there. right, closest threat facing in range is, of course, Larry. So that is 1 speed, hitting on 4. That is a hit, so Larry's just going to dodge that bad boy. Not getting his survival back, unfortunately. But that's fine. Easy turn, easy turn. Yeah, cool. We'll just do the same rotation. Rhonda gets a hit. Uh-oh, come on. Okay, there we go, guys. So death blow isn't going to be a factor here. So now Rhonda is wounding on 7, critting on 8. That is a crit. This card does not have a crit location, unfortunately, but that does still count as a wound. And that does mean Rhonda gets her fist and tooth. Which means we'll let Asteria go next. Cool. Then Kumar. That's probably good. With 1 hit. The Greater Gax does have a nice perfect hit thing. We just can't activate it yet. All right. That would be unfortunate. Not a problem. Just about done here. Then Larry's just going to block it up. I don't know what that last card is, but could be Strobe. Which would be unfortunate, but we'll manage. So actually, instead of blocking, would Dash help us? Yes, it would. All right, instead of blocking, Larry's going to Rawhide, just in case this is Strobe. It's not. Okay. That's fine, then. I should have known Scratch was in there. It was either Scratch or Strobe, so you need to make sure. And block wouldn't have really mattered too much, so we're good. All right, so the Gorm will draw that Scratch. So same thing, targeting Larry, hitting on a 4. It's a hit, so Larry is, of course, just going to dodge that bad boy. Still, Larry, I don't think Larry has ever once succeeded on a Rawhide armor survival roll. All right, so let's just finish this guy off, huh? Let's let Kumar go first. Two perfect hits. Jeez. Neither one of these is very good. This is unlikely to happen, though, so we'll start with that. Yep, that is our wound. So Kumar just need to wound this one, and we don't have to worry about the wretch. 3 is enough. Cool. Easy peasy. We've got Gorm level 1 on farm, y'all. Because we fought this stupid thing. It was what, our 5th Gorm in a row? 4th Gorm in a row, level 1. But all things considered, I'll take an easy fight. Let's move on. So we will get Hunt XP, and just about everybody's going to get their weapon proficiency level. Larry didn't attack, but that's by design. Finally get a check mark in Fist and Tooth. Unfortunately, I don't know how much longer we can keep bringing Rhonda out. And Kumar got his axe. And then, as per usual, we get 4 of each. Didn't get any resources this time. Boo. All right, what have we got? Question mark. Perfect. I've been getting so many perfect resources. Goodness. Hide and hide. God, guys. So, well, we can start working on leather. Of course. After I spent all that to get a dense bone last time, we draw one this time. Mammoth hand, I don't think is great. Gorm brain's nice, cool. And a meaty rib. I might have to hold on to that brain because I don't think we have any strange resources, unfortunately. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So, Showdown's over. Cool. We get to return to our settlement. We get our 4 endeavors. And then we got story events for days. So starting off with, we got to draw our random one. Lights in the sky. Okay, I think this is okay. Spectacular light shows erupt against the limitless darkness above. Swirling, vivid trails streak overhead. They lift everyone's spirits. Lingering effects. The settlement's collective imagination is set aflame. After rolling for any endeavor, you may add +1 or +2. Nice. If we have graves, which we do, we could potentially gain +2 survival. Column of light strikes you. You are filled with the memory of the dead. If insane, add 3 armor to every location when you depart this lantern year. We don't really have any insane folks. We got Kiko. That's going to be about it. And honestly, this isn't going to matter too much just yet. We don't have face painting yet, and we don't have inner lantern. But yeah, we got story events to roll through anyway, so we're just going to leave this here as a reminder, because we do have the potential to add +1 or +2 to our endeavor rolls. All right, story time. Let's start with Gorm Climate, just to get that out of the way. Yep. Add it to the next year. Now let's roll to see what happens. With a 10. Has storytelling? No. The settlement struggles against the quaking ground, linking arms to brace themselves against the storm. Nominate a survivor with no hunt XP. That's nobody. Oh, wait. This poor person who's never done anything, Cindy, who lost the debate and became apathetic, will get +1 courage. Okay. Handled. All right. Next up, we might as well resolve murder, because we know that's got to happen. All right. Someone in the settlement has been murdered. The survivor with the highest hunt XP is the victim. They are dead. So we planned this out for a reason. Every single person we could have possibly sent on this hunt all had 2 hunt XP. So no matter what happened, one of the returning survivors from this latest hunt would have been it. And I think it's just Larry's time. Larry's been through a lot. He's taken a beating. God, I kind of want to make it Rhonda, though. Because here's the thing, like, Larry's been doing his job. The -1 speed, I think, long-term is going to be too much of a detriment, though. So, it's got to be Larry. Sorry, buddy. Rest in peace, friend. All right, the murderer is the survivor at the highest insanity, which actually does not happen because who was it? Oh, was it somebody that we brought with us? Was it Asteria? Who was it? No, I was looking at the wrong spot. There it is. It was Kiko with marrow hunger. Marrow hunger means Kiko must be the murderer. Uh, Select the table that corresponds to your settlement society principle. We do not have one. And roll a d10. So this is going to be important. We might use a reroll on this. Oh, with a 10, I think we're good. For now, the murderer is heralded as the fiercest warrior in the settlement. They gain +1 permanent strength, +1 courage and understanding, and the skull helm gear card. So let's start with that. +1 courage, +1 understanding. Kiko is a beast. We get another skull helm. I'll never say no to a free piece of gear. And unfortunately, we have to add murder 1d5 years from now. So that is 5 years from now. Okay, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cool. So that went about as good as it could have. Next up, I have to what? It's just that kind of society. All right. I do. That's literally what the card said. I have to add this to the timeline. We are a society based on rules. All right, next up we're going to do Hands of Heat. That is in this book. And this is interesting. Okay. So the thing with Hands of Heat, normally you would already have, well, not normally, but on a different campaign, you would likely, possibly have the Lantern Oven already, because you get it from the Butcher. We do not have the Butcher. So if the settlement already innovated Lantern Oven, skip this event and roll on the Lantern Hunting table. Otherwise, proceed with Hands of Heat below. One lucky day, a clumsy accident knocks a lantern free from the towering lantern horde. A sudden flash of heat bathes the survivors as the lantern crashes to the ground. Now shattered, the lantern light dies, but the seed of an idea begins to grow. Nominate a survivor, they gain +1 courage, and experiment with lanterns. So what do we got here? 1, 2, 3 is not great. 4, 5, 6 is good. Okay. So, who do we want to have this? Do we give it to Asteria? Asteria might be the play. Where's everybody else at on courage? Kiko has +2, so that would get him bold, but I don't. Kiko's got enough going on. Does anybody have 2 courage over here? Yes, it is Asteria. Cool. So, Asteria, please bring your character sheet over here. So you get +1 courage. So before we do anything else, we will trigger bold. I think that is matchmaker, but we'll see in a second. All right, so we triggered it. We triggered it in the settlement phase. They do get matchmaker. Nice. And then we roll our d10. Ugh, 1. May re-roll 1 endeavor result this settlement phase. Okay. I'm going to try my best to remember that. I apologize if I don't. Not worth using a reroll on that either. Would be nice, but oh well. Back to Hands of Heat. Okay, and now she gets to experiment with lanterns. Another 1, we are definitely re-rolling that. Jose has not used his reroll yet, and he shall for this. So Jose observes Asteria experimenting and pulls her away from the flames before anything unfortunate can happen. On an 8, I'll absolutely take an 8. Survivor discovers heat and the settlement celebrates. Your settlement gains the Lantern Oven Lantern. I cannot talk tonight, folks. Lantern Oven Innovation. So let's start with that. That is in here. So we are doing solid. We get heat, so which means we can start working on Weapon Crafter. If we could get friggin' bones, my goodness. Departing Spares gain +1 in survival. That's nice. And we got to add in some consequences. What have we got here? Scrap smelting. Is there anything else? Cooking. Did I grab both? I did. Okay. All right, and continuing on, they gain the Red Fist Secret Fighting Art, which is always handy to have. So, start of each showdown, each survivor gains +1 strength tokens, and they can spend those tokens in place of survival. And then finally, since we rolled an 8, we do get to do Lantern Branding. A feast culminating in the ritual branding of the settlement's finest warriors by the heat of an agitated lantern. Discard half the settlement's total resources, rounded down. Okay. What have we got in storage? 2 love juices and a broken lantern. So that is 11. So you got to get rid of 5 things. Well, one of them is going to be the broken lantern. Got to get rid of 4 more. That sucks. I don't think we can do anything super fancy with crafting. We'll get rid of the brain, because we can't use the brain this year anyway. Mammoth Hand and Question Mark are worth keeping. We don't have anything special we can craft with any of this stuff this year. We already used our rib. We already used our hand. Another dense bone isn't going to get us anywhere just yet. Weapon crafter needs 3 bone and a hide. Also going to want to innovate. Don't want to get rid of the love juices. Those are super important. So I think we leave ourselves with flexibility. Get rid of a dense bone and 2 of our hides. Okay. We'll roll. Nominate a survivor. Okay, this is pretty good. All right, who else? Do we want to start juicing up Kumar a bit? Kumar's already got +2 or +2 in evasion. Is there anybody that doesn't have anything great? 2, 2. All right, so Violet is still fairly... Oh, Violet's our Twilight Sword user, though. Yeah, let's give it to Kumar. Let's let Kumar do this. Kumar, come on over, friend. Do we have somebody with extra accuracy? I thought we did. We did. So actually, we might make it Farley, because if we get the blind, he has the +1 accuracy to offset that. That's the play. So I think Farley is actually going to become our new Fist and Tooth user. But let's see what happens. With a 9, another permanent strength. Nice. Yeah, Farley's probably going to be our new Fist and Tooth user. Rhonda is probably going to be semi-retired. Unfortunately, her stats haven't gone anywhere, and Ghostly Beauty is just too much of a detriment, unfortunately. All right, Hands of Heat is resolved. For the sake of space, can get rid of that for now. Lots going on this lantern year. Flip. So Hands of Heat is handled. We're going to do Crone's Tail next, which means we need this book. I get this right first try. Nope. That's also the wrong button. Nope. There we go. So, Crone's Tail. I love the Flower Knight. It's such a cool thematic enemy. Right, Crone's Tail. One day, the survivors gathered around an old crone that had decided to share a secret. In her foolish youth, she had played inside a foul-smelling carved ball. Before she knew what had happened, the ball rolled away with her trapped inside. She tumbled in its stomach-churning darkness for what seemed like days. So, fun fact, if you know what's up, this is the Dung Beetle Knight. The ball rolled to a sudden halt. She crawled out into a hushed glade. Strange plants twisted up between her grasping fingers and bloomed in lurid colors. It came soundlessly from the trees. Thorny, flowering vines burst from the ground where it tread, and the glade was aglow from its strange light. Although she swore never to reveal her meeting with the strange knight, in her dotage she could not resist the temptation to visit the glade again. The survivors followed her into the dark. Along the way, she told them of the glade's seductive beauty and the wondrous creature that guarded them. Finally, they reached a gleaming gate and set the keen survivors' teeth on edge, at once repulsing and pulling at something deep in the pits of their stomachs. The crone stood before it, determined. Her old skin sagged further, and her eyes filled with pain as the gates swung open. Painfully, the crone led them through the shifting forest to the glade. There, on its downy grasses, she lay down. The survivors gathered worriedly around her. With her final breath, a ghostly, glowing flower burst from her papery lips, its delicate bloom fragrant with untold power. Lantis, we have no mercy around here. Nominated survivor in the settlement. That survivor grasps the ghostly blossom and gains the sleeping virus flower rare gear and the flower addiction disorder. You may now hunt the flower knight. I don't know what the sleeping virus flower does. I think we're giving this to Rhonda for reasons. Oh, that's right. There's two. +1 luck. Yeah, this is going on Rhonda. And she gains the flower addiction disorder. We're not killing her yet. We're not killing her yet. So, going forward, she may only depart to hunt the flower knight, but after she departs, flower addiction goes away. So she will have that story event coming up in the event of her death, which is this one. And we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. All right, so we get to add the flower knight. And we are done with this for now, so this can go back to the shelf. And finally, our last story event, the Hanged Man. So, I know at the start of the stream, I gave my usual content warning. I'm going to give it again, because this guy is an asshole. The Manhunter delves into some very dark places. Okay. The Hanged Man. Suddenly, the mutilated body of a fellow survivor hangs in the center of the settlement, their life snuffed out and put on display in horrific fashion. Your ears become flush with a dull ring and panic, and fear creep into your mind as you struggle to comprehend what just happened. Reduce all survivors' survival to 0. Let's start with that. Lots of bookkeeping here. And Rhonda. No survival anyway. Before I forget, gotta account for poor Larry. All right, moving on. A tall, grim stranger stands before you, with eyes deeper and blacker than any you've seen. In its hand, a lantern with a distorted face emits a piercing light and a deep reverberation that fills the folds in your brain. With slow, soundless steps, the stranger advances. You call out in fright, but find you cannot speak. The only sounds that can be heard within the light of the bizarre lantern are those emanating from it. Outside of the light, no one notices the stranger. They talk in shocked and frightened tones around the hanging corpse, unaware of the danger lurking behind them. Within this soundless, reverberating pocket of light, you bear witness to something even more frightening than the events leading up to this moment. Nominate a survivor to get a deranged expression. For this particular one, again, for reasons, we're picking our old friend, Sonya. The deranged survivor stands limp, their face staring blankly at the ground, and the faces in the ground staring blankly back at them. Sensing something amiss, the grim stranger stops its approach just inches from the deranged survivor. You can't hear it, but you can feel it. A confident laughter that splits the deranged survivor's face nearly in half. You are filled with a desperate wonder as you watch them find something terrible and dark deep within themselves. Transformed by the intensity of the situation, the deranged survivor's expression is forever changed. You are unsure whether to feel afraid of them or envious. The deranged survivor gains the abyssal sadist fighting art and leads the settlement into battle. So, abyssal sadist. This is the reason we picked Sonya. The first time you wound the monster each attack, gain +1 survival and +1 insanity. Already pretty cool. Ignore the effects of the fear of the dark and prey disorders. So poor Sonya has been sidelined this whole time because of fear of the dark. So this will let us gain access to Sonya once again. All right, now here's where things get interesting. The Manhunter is intrigued with the settlement. Add special Showdown Manhunter to the following Lantern years on the timeline: 10, 16, and 22. We are not doing this because since the Manhunter is replacing the Butcher, those 3 years will be normal Showdowns, not special Showdowns. Then have a showdown with the Manhunter right now. So if you recall in campaign 1 when we had the Kingsman, that was a special showdown, but it was a special showdown that took place according to the calendar. Right? Special showdowns happen down here and then loop back around. The Manhunter breaks that rule. The Manhunter shows up. The special showdown happens right now. Before we can make any gear, before we can do anything else. This is why we did this story last. Let's figure out who's coming. So we're definitely bringing Sonya. Sonya's probably going to take Larry's spot. And since he can, let's give him shield proficiency. That sounds good. Rhonda cannot come. She has to fight the Flower Knight. But we've got some beaters. All right. Asteria is absolutely coming. Do we want to bring... Okay, so we have so many choices. We've got Kumar, we've got Farley, and we have our bad boy Kiko. And we also have Shirley, but Shirley doesn't have anything super special going on for her. All right, so I think so we still don't have a fourth weapon. Honestly, we don't even really have a third weapon. This will stay. This stays with Rhonda. So bring Kumar with his axe. I think we can fist and tooth against the Manhunter. So we probably bring Farley. We start training up Farley as another fist and tooth user. And really the only other thing we can bring with us is another skull helm. So you might as well throw that on Farley's head. Try to Canthus. We'll go to our main tank now. Just didn't want to waste that on a walking corpse. Let's take these off. All right. Manhunter is scary. Manhunter is not hard to beat, but he can hit like a truck. And we don't have much survival to work with. Thankfully, we'll have Red Fist, we'll have some departing survival. Hopefully, Sanya can make some use out of his Abyssal Sadist. Let's go ahead and clear this stuff off while I'm thinking of it. So we are, as usual, going to take a short break. I'm going to update the game. Well, not the game. Update the table, update the overlays, and stand by. And in just a few minutes, we will be right back to fight the Undertaker. And you'll see what that means in just a minute. See you soon.